Now, without frightening my mother too much, what kinds of things should I be looking for? What can I keep my eyes open for?
Well, that's a great question. What our software is designed to do is to keep an eye open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to identify unusual behavioral activity. So the same concepts that are inherent to the performance of our software are the things that people should be doing themselves as they try to maintain a certain level of vigilance throughout the event. So whether it's a beat cop walking the street or participants of the particular conventions, the goal is to keep your eyes open and pay attention to what's taking place in and around your environment and bring that information that may be of concern to you to law enforcement personnel. That's exactly what our software is doing in the background, but it's also something that could be used as guidance for people that are participating at the event as well.
But give me a couple specifics of things I can look for and then that I would go and tell someone who has more authority than I to do something about. What should I be looking for?
Well, things from a security context could be groups of individuals engaging in violent activity. It could be vehicles parking in unusual locations, abandoned vehicles, individuals that are leaving packages in various locations that seem to be suspicious to you. So anything that you would perceive as being potentially problematic from a security perspective is something that the security personnel are going to want to know about.
It was going to be difficult to begin with, this whole security situation at the RNC. Of course, now we all know that there's an expectation that starting sometime Monday evening and possibly going all throughout Tuesday, there will be a hurricane or at least a tropical storm or some kind of major.
My life.
It could be incredibly problematic for a few reasons. I want to get to our guest maybe in a second about how this may affect some of the technology they may be using here, but more than that, they're expecting 3,500 officers from across the state, not from Tampa, to come in to supplement security there, who may not go because of the hurricane. They may be needed in their localities, so you may have less officers on site now than you had before. And of course, also, you will have traffic slowdowns. You'll have all kinds of transportation issues. It's a lot. This will throw things off in a way that I think nobody could have anticipated. So it's going to be a perfect storm.
I hope my mother is not watching.
But I have a question, Katie. As a political matter,
yes, ma'am.
Wouldn't it look really bad for the Occupy Wall Street movement if they engaged in any of this activity that we saw in the video, attacking Republicans, just nice old people in funny hats?
This is the thing, Amy, is they don't care. The Occupy Wall Street movement has gotten away with being a bunch of drunk hippies in a park, but this is nothing new. The 2008 RNC, there were people who were associated with anarchist-like groups who actually made Molotov cocktails. They were all ready to go, and they were going to burn Republicans and stop free speech at all means necessary. A couple months ago, I was down at the Occupy Wall Street headquarters in Washington, D.C. They claim they're not associated with political parties. An anarchist syndicalist, he called himself, said this quote to me: "Violence is not burning cop cars and breaking windows. That's vandalism." So they don't see any of this as your property. They don't believe in personal property. They definitely don't believe in any boundaries when it comes to authority. And so there's been this, the surface of the Occupy Wall Street movement has been people in a park playing drums and getting high. But really underneath, there's this violent level of people who have been involved in the anarchist movement for years and years and years. And this is nothing new. And they really have no respect for law enforcement. And they sure don't have respect for free speech and what Republicans particularly are trying to do.
The idea would be to try to recreate what we saw in Seattle with the WTO. I think they'd like to do that. They wanted to do that, which was terrible. And they wanted to do this in 2004 in New York, by the way, except they had mass arrests of people that were planning that. The NYPD did. I think the lawsuit there is still ongoing against my former employer. People called it Guantanamo on the Hudson. They had hundreds and hundreds of people that were penned off who were planning violence. That was what the police department thought, or they were arrested for minor infractions, or whatever the case had been, depending on who you talk to. But I think they see an opportunity here at a resurgence. And John, do you think that Tampa is prepared for that? If Katie's right, if there is this undercurrent, if the black bloc, the anarchists, if they want to make a name for themselves this week in Tampa, can they do it?
Well, I think it's important to point out that the security planners in Tampa have been preparing for this type of activity since day one. Even though that this is becoming just public most recently in various news reports, the Tampa Police Department and the law enforcement officials responsible for the security at the convention have been preparing for hundreds or thousands of hours As you point out, thousands of police officers, advanced technology, surveillance technology like my firm's technology are being deployed. So I think it needs to be discussed in context of the fact that security is best done when planning is robust. And in this particular context, I think Tampa is prepared, and they're ready to deal with whatever the various activities are presented to them.